Hey guys, welcome to another podcast of Reset Fitness. I'm today joined by Tina Chagoury, who's a clinical dietitian with 17 years of experience. We're going to talk about eating healthy as a busy person. So if you're struggling with your nutrition at home in your day-to-day life, you're going to want to have a listen to this one because there's lots of interesting little tips and things you can implement in your day-to-day life. The podcast is about to start, but in the meanwhile, please check out our social media channels.
This is Reset Fitness. Get fit for life.
Hello guys, my name is Ethan Matthews, the Reset Fitness Operations Manager. I'm here today, really excited with Tina Chagoury. Tina, how are you today?
I'm good. How are you, Ethan?
Yeah, brilliant.
I'm happy to be here.
So today we're going to talk about eating healthy as a busy person.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, that's probably become more prominent because of after COVID, everyone started to look at their diet, look at their health. What's your kind of feeling at the moment about how people perceive health or healthy eating?
You know, what you mentioned is very true. We always say there's a pre-COVID and post-COVID nutrition practice. So the post-COVID is definitely people are much more aware. They want to nourish their body more than pre-COVID, where it was just I'm either eating healthy because I want to lose weight, or I'm just eating whatever I want because it's convenient. So post-COVID, there was a shift towards choosing the right ingredients, consulting with professionals to know what's best for my immunity. So definitely our work in terms of nutrition science, in terms of coaching, did change a lot after COVID. So people are much more aware. I always tell them I have clients who come to my clinic who know more than me when it comes to certain foods and ingredients and supplements because they're interested, they like to read, and now the information is available. Now, it's not always accurate, but it's available. So people don't have to go seek information. It really actually comes to them on their feed, on their emails. So yes, it's. I don't think. I mean, if you just ask a 13-year-old, what's your definition of healthy eating, they would give you an accurate definition that changes, obviously. The way I see healthy eating is not like my daughter sees healthy eating. It's not like a 70-year-old gentleman would see healthy eating, right? But we all have common things.
And do you think because of COVID, obviously people have started to look at obviously their health and what they put in their mouths. Do you think the education that's out there, like for example, Instagram, Google, do you think that's always the best way or the best place to go and look for this?
No, of course it's not the best place. It's a good place to start with, but because of the many conflicting information on those platforms, people get confused. And when someone does not really know where to look for information, because even on the internet, you have reliable websites, you have, other than the peer-reviewed and the research papers, you do have some journals and some magazines and some websites that are well researched, right? Not everybody knows where to go. So, and this is why I always tell them, for instance, I have many parents who come for their children's nutrition. And I do respect that a lot because these are parents who don't necessarily have children with obesity problems or weight management problems, but they just come and pay the visit and spend the 45 minutes or 1 hour just to ask the right questions and get the right information. So she would tell me, for instance, I read on this website that X, Y, and Z, is this correct? Or, I follow this person and she said this and that, is this accurate? So going to look for the scientific information is essential. And then you choose from it what works for you, what doesn't work for you.
I think you hit the nail on the head there. Is, we can find information really easy, but actually to get it verified is obviously the next step in there, because it's great. Even like my daughter, for example, she can get access to information, but it's actually being able to understand and verify that what you see is actually what
exactly
is true.
And this is the importance of communication between parents and children, especially teenagers. Nowadays on TikTok, they get all sorts of information on all platforms, social media platforms. And it's important that the child feels that it's not only okay that it's that it's normal and casual to come and ask the parent or the adult, like, I heard this, is this true? Not go and try this, because you see so many trends now in terms of diets, in terms of body, in terms of morning routine or facials and so on. And if the child, the teenager, will just follow blindly what they see, because these, by the way, come from influencers, so from people who are followed by millions. So in the brain of a teenager, if so many million follow her or him, it must be legitimate, right? And this is where it's very important to discuss this topic with the children. Yes, she or he is popular because of the so many things that they do online, and this is a full-time job, and they have create content and but that doesn't make them a reliable source for healthy eating unless the person is also a professional with a licensed professional.
Sure. So do you think that, maybe from an educational point of view, like, for example, schools could do a little bit more?
They do, yeah. They're doing. I mean, I'm sure you know.
I'm talking globally now.
Globally,
right?
definitely. Yeah. I mean, there is, nowadays, you notice, especially post-COVID as well, and during COVID, during the remote learning, there was, kids and teenagers spent we as adults as well spend so much time on screens and on social media. So schools did consult with psychologists, with coaches, with professionals to guide these teenagers into knowing, first of all, safety online, and this is very important, bullying online, and this is another major issue. And then, yes, how to know whether this source is reliable or not. And this conversation has to continue at home. We can't just rely on schools to do everything.
That's right. It's got to be enforced from the environment, absolutely. Right? So what we've talked about, what is, a healthy kind of eating pattern, but what are the benefits of eating healthy? The biggest ones, obviously there's lots of them. I can keep them on,
yeah. But the big title will, if you want to define healthy eating is basically providing your body with nourishing food that would serve the purpose of longevity, disease prevention, happiness, mood enhancement, physical activity. So you need to basically give your body the right fuel it needs to perform or to age gracefully or to prevent diseases. And so, if you look at health definition, for instance, and if you go online and check health, it says it's merely the absence of disease. Nowadays, it's no longer like this. We're not just living to not get sick. We're optimizing our life. So we want to age, but we want to age well. We want to live well. We want to have energy. We don't just want to go through the day surviving. Sure. We want to wake up fresh, we want to work out, we want to have energy. So the benefits is when it serves these purposes, this is the major aim for healthy eating. And obviously for certain people it would be weight control, for other people it would be fertility, for other people it would be skin glowing. So many benefits.
Yeah, you know what really interested me about 2 months ago, the World Obesity Federation released some statistics that they predict by 2035 that 51% of the population could be overweight. Now that is like alarms for me because it's actually not surprising, but it's also scary.
Yeah.
So we're looking at 1 in 4 people being obese. Obviously these are in specific areas as well, but in general if we're looking at the population, that really is scary if you look at it like that.
It is scary.
You've already talked about, okay, it's not all to do with your genetics, about living longer, but it's what we can actually do in our environment. So whether what we eat, how we live our lives is only a small part of the journey when it comes to health.
Of course, it's one piece of the puzzle. Anyways, eating and choosing the right food is one piece of your puzzle and we'll come back to the statistics that you mentioned, because you could be eating the healthiest, but then you live in a stressful environment, you're not sleeping well, you're deficient in most vitamins, you have certain unhealthy habits. I know people who are chain smokers and they probably overdo it with alcohol, but then yes, she has her quinoa salad for lunch and her grilled salmon for dinner. Does this count? Obviously it's better than nothing, it's better than also eating junk, but you have to look at it, look at the full picture. So the statistics that you mentioned, despite the fact that the awareness on obesity, on healthy eating, the number of professionals specializing in healthy eating, nutrition coaching, health coaching, life coaching has increased so much. And then you'd think it doesn't make sense with everything, that the progression that we've had and the awareness that we've reached. We should expect for obesity to decline, to start declining, and yet it's not. And this is the biggest sign that it's not only about spreading awareness. It's not only about knowing what to do. You know, who doesn't know that smoking kills, right?
Everybody, right?
And yet, you don't see a decline in the number of smokers. That's because the knowledge is not enough to change the behavior.
I think you're right, actually, because when it comes to marketing, even though the awareness is there, you shouldn't smoke, you shouldn't drink all every day, for example, you've got this other side or other cloud, the market's saying, eat this less sugar, eat this less fat, and you're like, oh yeah, great, perfect, I'll have a bit of that. And actually, you're hitting the same ground anyway, because even though, like you said, you're doing one bit of the holistical kind of approach, ticking the box, you're still missing the other boxes, right? Yeah. What are the obstacles that are resulting in people going down these poor choices? I know I just mentioned marketing, and obviously clouding kind of our vision in day-to-day lives, but what other obstacles do you see for people?
This is an interesting question, because when we're working clinically with one-on-one patients, we always set obstacles towards the second or the third session. So basically I would ask them, what is it that made you quit your last diet? Or what do you think would threaten your compliance? And the 5 common points that always come up are time, convenience, price, stress, and I forgot the 5th one, but these are very common. So either I don't have time to cook healthy food, I have a full-time job, I'm a full-time mom, whatever the reason is. Convenience. So I go on the delivery app, and the first things that come to my mind and I'm craving are probably the wraps and sandwiches and so on. Price as well. Many complain that to eat healthy food, you're paying slightly higher fees, which is understandable. I mean, it wouldn't make sense for a recipe to cost the same when it's done with clean ingredients. You would doubt it. So yes, it does cost more, but then they don't look at the long term.
But when we just talk about price, because normally even we're looking at gym memberships, people sometimes use that as I haven't got the budget. Yeah. But actually, for example, if you compare what your outgoings are for the month, if you're ordering every day, for example, off a delivery app, compared to, for example, I get my food delivered once a week from a certain company for the same shopping list. And it actually works out a lot cheaper. Okay, I have to make the food myself. Planning. But I guess this goes on to planning, and this is what I invest in my future, because for me, okay, I understand if I eat well, I plan my day well, then I'm going to get better results, not just physically healthy. But
absolutely, it's prioritizing. I always tell my clients, you have to prioritize your health. And if you don't, and it's not only the thought of it, and my health is important, this is not only it. What matters is to actually put it on paper. What I do on a weekly basis on my calendar, I fill in my health, whether it's healthy grocery, whether it's workout, my yoga sessions, whether it's my kids' workout, etc. I prioritize them, so they fill my calendar first. And everything comes after. I know not everyone has this flexibility, but to start with, when you actually put it on paper and say, okay, I'm going to spend those 2 hours or those 2 days a week doing this, and I put it, and it's weekly, it repeats on a weekly basis, then I know when someone calls me and we have to have a meeting, and I look and my yoga session is, let's say, Tuesday 8 to 10, I don't budge. I mean, this is it. This is staying there. So same thing with grocery shopping. Same thing with batch cooking, meal prepping. All of these things are super important to not only think of doing them, actually planning them. Setting those 4 hours on a Saturday or Sunday to meal prep makes all the difference. And it's the same concept. Why is it easy to have meals delivered to your house? Because someone else is doing the planning for you. Now, if you take things in control and do it, one, it will cost you less. And I'm saying if you have the skill, if you know how to cook and to prepare, and you have time for grocery, and you would rather do it at home, because those meal deliveries are always a great option, And again, on the long run, if you calculate, sometimes it might be slightly more, but it's worth it because of all the planning. So planning is definitely key.
I think that has a knock-on effect, because if you take the time, to cook, which is up to 30 minutes, 40 minutes in some cases, but then you eat while you feel better, you get that time back in other places, if you like, right?
Those one countries are those on a plant-based diet, most of them.
Correct,
right?
Yes. So these are like little pockets around the world. For anybody actually looking, it's really interesting.
And they
there's
change
a lot of
every year.
research. And basically these pockets around the world, they're not very big pockets.
Yeah.
They have people who live the longest.
Yeah.
So what they've done is compared the traits in each of these different, to say, because these are in different parts of the world, by the way.
Yeah, literally. In every continent there's one.
I think the main ones are like Greece, Costa Rica, Japan, even America, which is interesting.
Yeah, apart. one state.
Exactly.
I think,
So a lot of the traits that they picked up was the whole plant-based diets. Now, obviously, talking about vegetables like legumes, like beans.
Yeah.
The other ones were, I believe, nuts.
But also, I believe it's healthy fats as well.
Yes, correct.
The amount of healthy fats, whether it's from fish in Japan or whether it's from olive oil in Greece. So that was also a common...
That's actually interesting. So when we're talking about the quality, because you could buy a strawberry, but then you can also buy an organic strawberry. So when it comes to the chemicals, does that play a part in someone's, like, for anti-inflammation in the stomach, for example?
Absolutely, because it's a chain reaction. So, for instance, let's take women, for example. When you overconsume chemicals, strawberries, for instance, are one of those fruits that you need to buy organic because you eat it as a whole, and because they do a clean and dirty list every year. It's on the dirty list. It's been 2 years in a row, which means it takes the most pesticides. This is one of them.
Absorb, you mean?
It absorbs the most. For instance, bananas, because you peel them, it's safe to eat it non-organic. I have an updated list every year on my page. Anyways, so say this woman, consumes foods that are, bringing her more chemicals than needed, and she is in a toxic environment, and she this and that. This affects the hormone directly. It works on the glands, right? And when the hormones are affected, the woman is in a state of inflammation, and you mentioned inflammation. Inflammation is one of the main core reasons behind most chronic diseases and cancers. And this is a different episode. So this is like a long talk, but just to mention briefly, yes, it affects because we call them endocrine disruptors, right? Or hormonal gland
Sorry,
disruptors.
and just to hold you, when you say inflammation, what does that happen? Like bloating?
No. Inflammation, inflammation has no symptoms really. You could have inflammation without feeling any symptoms. We're not talking about the inflammation where you actually have redness, the actual inflammation. No, we all have a certain grade of inflammation that is normal, and that is a sign that our immune system is working perfectly. But then when this inflammation becomes chronic low grade and triggered by either foods that we're intolerant to, or chemicals that we're getting from the food, or stress or lack of sleep, or some medications that you're taking that are triggering this inflammation. So when it becomes low grade, continuous, what happens is that your immune system is drained. It's like you're in war, and you're pushing, or you're telling your army to just get distracted with little battles, and you forgot about the war. So when the enemy approaches, your soldiers are already tired. So your immune system is so drained that when an actual illness comes, it cannot fight it. And this is a huge topic that was mostly popular during COVID. So inflammation, chronic inflammation, drains the immune system. What triggers inflammation? Many things, including endocrine disruptors that you mentioned, which disrupt the hormones, and most of the time it doesn't come alone. Most of the time there are other triggers with it. The woman could be suffering from hormonal period irregularities, fertility issues, acne, migraines, headaches. And so when we put it all in one picture, we understand that, okay, it looks like inflammation is at its core. We start by treating inflammation, by reducing inflammatory food from her diet, by promoting more anti-inflammatory workout. It's funny because you were mentioning the workout that you give and the system that you follow. And this is one of those systems that actually help heal inflammation, because you're not pushing a person to go over their limits. And when you don't push them to go over their limits, you're not triggering an increase in their stress hormones. So they are getting the benefits of the workout that is personalized for them. And I always tell my clients, it's not about the quality, it's not about the quantity, like I've done 3 hours of whatever high boot camp, and it's not about that. It's about doing what's right for you and boosting your happy hormones, because this is key. Once you boost your happy hormones, there's another chain reaction that decreases inflammation. So anyways, inflammation is a long topic, but yeah, briefly to answer your question.
I think that's quite interesting, because when you're looking at your food diet, you want it to be for the rest of your life. So sometimes a lot of people ask me, what about this diet? What about fasting? And I always say, look, can you continue that for the rest of your life?
Yeah, definitely.
We can relate that to fitness, because nobody can get smashed for 60 minutes every day of the week, not even athletes, and continue for the rest of their life. Something's going to take, right? Yeah. And I guess with the danger with food, you don't see what's happening inside, right? So you kind of like out of sight, out of mind.
Exactly.
Right? 4 times throughout the year we have a 6-week activation.
Yeah.
We call it a 6-week transformation. It's not to change you into like a 6-pack bikini model. That's not the point. The idea is obviously we want to generate interest to follow a program for 6 weeks, and then you see some benefits.
Of course.
People expect them to become a new person, right? And actually in reality, if they haven't been exercising for like, in some cases 10 years, which we regularly do, is that they expect results to come straight away.
I know. It takes a lot of time for people to change their mindsets.
But like as you said, is that short term? They thought, right, I've got an event, so they're lame for 6 weeks, and then after they'll go back, and actually they'll go back to an even worse place.
Yeah. But where, for instance, if someone has an event, right? Unless, I'm talking if they're working with a professional. Let's say she says, I have an event. This is an excellent starting point, because this is her initial motivation. But then the trick is to help her post-event continue setting another goal, right? So this is why it's very important to invest in a one-on-one consultation with a professional. And this is what people don't understand. They think that because they can get the information free on Instagram, TikTok, that's it, this is it. It's not that. This is not personalized.
Exactly, it's very general, right?
Yeah, it's general. Like, it applies, but you have to know when and how to apply it.
They say, like, for example, 60 minutes of exercise a day is good for you. But actually, is it good for me? Because my lifestyle is different. My objective is different, right?
Yeah, and you have those influencers that share. Yesterday I was reading, I don't know who she is. She said, I'm going to share with you how I lost 4.5 kilos in 10 days or 7 days. I followed this detox. It's amazing. Your body should do detox every couple of weeks, because 1.2 million followers. Come on.
It's
if 1% heard her,
right?
and did what she did, anyways, this is why it's very important to
imagine a woman or a mother, and then they pass that information on to their kids, right?
Yeah, so that's a different story. That's a completely different stories, because again, most of the issues we face with pediatric clients and teenagers is their parents. We call it the diet legacy. Mom lived her life. The person would tell me, Mom lived her life dieting. And so this is normal. It is only normal for me to start dieting at 12. This is how things should be, because all I heard as a child growing up is my mom saying, oh, I ate too much, I need to stop eating. Oh, I ate this chocolate, I need to go run. Oh, my jeans are not fitting, I'm so depressed, I don't want to go out. This is how girls are growing up, especially in our region.
That's a good point. That's a really good point. And when you tell the children, don't eat that chocolate, as soon as you turn your back, they'll eat the chocolate,
of course.
But yeah, we're very impressionable as parents to pass that information, in not just in food, but in health.
In everything. In everything.
What tips can you give to people that want to lead a healthier eating lifestyle when it comes to planning? We've already talked about planning now. So what would you say that?
First of all, they have to set the targets. What is it that they're looking for? Are they already being healthy but they want to optimize?
Does it have to be quantifiable, as in like a number, for example?
No.
Or
No. I mean, no. I'm not with the school of calorie counting and weighing, and it's good to have readings and know where
awareness,
we
maybe?
stand. Yeah. What matters? Yeah, awareness. What matters to me is targets of how you want. Like, for instance, I ask my clients, you came to me to lose weight, right? Now I want you to visualize that you are at the weight you're aiming at, or at the look, or at the size, in the body you dream of or you're aiming at. Imagine that now you are in this body. What would be different in your life? What are the things that you would do differently? And when they start thinking of that, this is their motivation. So the motivation is, what is it that I'm looking for? Not a number on the scale. Who's this person I'm aiming at? And while they think of the activities they would be doing, or the clothes they will be wearing, the different sports they will be doing, this is the motivation. So this is the target I'm talking about. So have this target to visualize, and then get the right advice. So
come
if you're
to someone like you, right?
Exactly. I mean, me or others, get the right advice, and then set a plan together, and then you're on your own. It becomes a routine. You have to give yourself at least 4 to 6 weeks of repetitive actions for it to become a routine. It doesn't work overnight. It doesn't work after 3 days. It needs time. With some people who have been doing the unhealthy things for 10 years, it will take probably 3-4 months to change.
Just take that one point about, because we get a lot of people come into our studio that want to lose weight. That's one of the biggest objectives.
Yeah.
Now, for me, it would be interesting to see what your take is on this. Sometimes they overcomplicate it, because for me, at the end of the day, if they want to lose weight, they need to eat less. If you want to put weight on, you eat more. So instead of to start off with, at least, and it would be interesting to get your take on this, from a portion size, don't look too much into what you're eating, but how much you eat. When you're looking at weight loss, what do you think about that?
I would have to disagree. I mean, definitely, it's one way of doing things. I'm from a very more of a holistic school, whereby if you are not able to lose weight, or if you're struggling with weight loss, you have to look at everything else other than food,
Sure.
all the other things. And most of the time, it's the other things that are the issue. Now, when it comes to food, I would rather they look at the quality of their food and eat mindfully. So I'm not saying that they should eat as much as they want and just, triple portion. No, when they start focusing on the quality and the mindfulness, the quantities will shrink automatically. But it's not like an active effort from their side to actually eat less and get frustrated and weigh their food and measure their food. This is where frustration begins, and this is one of the main reasons why people relapse and quit diets. The moment they shift in their mindset to quality, mindfulness.
So start with quality and then look for...
And then balance will settle itself, It just comes naturally, and we've seen this so many times.
Yeah, no, I'm only saying that, I guess, because I come from a sporting background.
Yeah.
And it's interesting to see a lot of, obviously, athletes who've retired around 30, 35. They stop eating nutritious foods, and then the muscle mass drops, but then the fat. Obviously. Anyway, thank you very much for joining us today, Tina. I think we covered quite a few interesting points there.
Yes, we did.
Hopefully the viewers will pick up some important key points. But thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
No problem at all.
This is Reset Fitness. Get fit for life.